This
Same.
is Awards Buzz, and we're here talking about the Oscar shortlisted short film Heartbeat. How are you, Jay?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm great. I enjoy watching all the shortlisted films as a way to get to know new filmmakers, but it's also great to see some returning regulars. Though I realize it's been a couple of years, even though when we were bullies and How Do You Measure a Year feel a little bit more present than I guess 4 and 3 years ago.
True, true. For me too.
I was also listening back to our conversations and realizing that what we talked about when we were bullies, I said, "You're really in this film a lot." You said, "Yeah, it's really the first time for me. I've always had my voice, but never quite been so much the subject." And as time has gone on, it seems like you've been so much more. And what I really liked about this film, aside from the subject, which is very interesting, is when Stephanie says, "Here, let's turn the camera on you." Because I thought for a while it was just going to be you off camera the whole time and us hearing her voice. So this is obviously a very intimate part of your life. Can you tell me about the decision to essentially make this public and turn it into something really worthwhile to share with everyone?
Sure. Well, we shot this 25 years ago, and I don't want to do too many spoiler alerts, but if you see the film, it turned out to be a pretty painful experience. And I put the tapes in my closet in the corner and forgot about them, to be totally honest. And I was looking through where I keep all those old home videotapes, mini DV tapes, and I saw those tapes in the corner of the closet last year. And then it all came back to me, what that experience was. And I thought I should look at those tapes and just see what we did, what we shot. And when I watched it, I realized there's the film here for sure. And I think we both felt enough distance that it almost felt like other people. And even though it is very personal and it's hard to show it in some ways, there was enough distance where we felt like we could. And it also felt like there'd be other people that could relate to that experience. We made that decision. It was not an easy one. And especially for Stephanie, because I think, much more she's in the film more on screen and in a much more vulnerable position. So, but once she was on board, we went ahead and released it.
What surprised you both most about what you saw of yourselves that was captured then?
This, that's a good question. Some things haven't changed that much. It's amazing. You think you're so different, and then you realize, wow, we still go through some of these issues. Um, you also, 25 years is a long time. So you really feel the aging process watching it. You see yourselves, these young people, younger, and then think, where did the years go? And then last time we spoke, it was about How Do You Measure a Year, which is another film about time, much more obvious because you're seeing this little girl turn into a woman in 29 minutes. But there's a similar feeling, much bigger jump, but still like, wow, time is so strange. It seems like it goes so fast and so slow at times, and but you see a film like this and you realize, wow, it does go by really fast, and you got to make the most of it.
March 10th, 2001 was both my 13th birthday and my bar mitzvah. So I appreciate, recognizing a familiar date with that, places me in a different time on both sides of it that, I'm much older than your daughter, but also, a different generation from you. So just so interesting to see that. You also obviously have done this before with your films, especially How Do You Measure a Year, where you're working only with archive footage. Are you do you ever wish, younger you had captured things a different way? You could give yourself notes that would make things a little bit easier, or there's something great about just capturing things as they played out exactly.
I had this is what I had to work with, and sometimes when you're forced to work with even limiting material, it creates opportunities for more creativity. Um, you know, I don't know if you've seen some of my older films, but I really do work with archive, not my own personal archive, but educational films. Even my home movies that my dad took of me, I use in some of my earlier films. So working with archives is just what I do. It's the mode of working. So this was a little different when I'm using personal archives that I've shot, um, but I'm still treating it in a similar way. For me, the editing process is the most fulfilling part of filmmaking. So when I have the materials already, and archive films are like that, they exist. It's exciting, and I really relish that.
You have any designs of narrative directions or feature films to expand upon any of this stuff?
It's funny. I've been making short films for like 4 decades, and that question always crops up. Now it seems really funny because a lot of times people make shorts as a stepping stone to making features. And I thought I was one of those people at one point, and then I realized that, it's not that I'm against features or longer pieces. It's just that even when I think I'm going to make a longer film, it turns into a short. Um, so I don't know. It's possible. I'm working on a project now that could conceivably be feature length, but I've said that before. I think most films are too long, even short films. So I think that's part of my outlook on filmmaking. Like, make them shorter. There's so many films could be, they're good, but they could be brilliant if they took like 10-20% out.
We'll come back to that with my last question, but I do want to ask you more about this film first, which is I imagine a lot of people, when they see this, are reminded of their own experiences and move to talk about things. Have you found that in showing the film that people really just see pieces of themselves in this and are happy to, or not happy necessarily, but glad that the story, this kind of story is getting out there?
Well, I haven't seen the film that much with audiences. It's gotten into about 10 festivals. I've been to about two or three of them. And when I see it with an audience, there inevitably are people that come up and are very moved by the piece. I'm reminded of one instance in Portugal. It showed at a festival, and this young woman came up to me. She was so excited, but also so visually moved. She said, "My partner and I just went through this, and we were holding each other's hands really tight, and we just couldn't believe we were seeing what we went through on the screen." So that was very satisfying to hear that. Um, I think some people feel uncomfortable watching the film, to be honest. I think they're not used to seeing something. I think you see things like this in fiction films, like conflict in relationships, not as much in documentaries. And I think some people feel almost like they shouldn't be seeing this. It's too personal. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing, but I get that sense for some people. I still think it stays with them, even if they feel a little uncomfortable. So, you can't control the reactions of people. All you can do is make the work and hope for the best.
Was the title an easy decision?
No, titles are extremely important to me. In fact, I could say they're probably my favorite part of filmmaking for several reasons. One is I like the challenge of coming up with a really strong title, and for different films, the strengths are different. But it also means the film's done. And filmmaking is, you know, it's it's exhilarating, but it's also a very painful process for me. It's hard the writing's hard. A lot of it's very difficult. And when I'm finally at the point of settling on a title, I know I've I'm done pretty much. So it's a great moment. There have been a couple of films where the title came first. Very rare, but occasionally that happens. So going back to your question, this one was tough. It was it went through a couple of different titles, working titles, I'd call them. Um, I think the last one was very close to this. It was I think it was called The Heartbeat Away. But then that triggered too many associations with the vice presidency and things like that. So it got, you know, I would say became more minimal and also I think in some ways more powerful. Um, and it, when you see the film, you realize why it's called that. It's even mentioned at one point in the film. So yeah, I think we landed on the right title.
Well, here at Awards Buzz, I always like to ask people to end, what is a film? And for short films, I say short film or feature film that you've seen lately. And the reason I laughed before is because almost everybody, a lot of people are talking about this year's feature films that are all so, so long. So I'll be curious. I'd love to know a short film you like, but also a feature film that maybe for you was just the right length.
Um, well, one of my favorite fiction films that I've seen is Train Dreams. Um, it's a very simple film, and there was nothing I would take out of that film. I thought it worked really well. The acting was good, the cinematography was gorgeous, and I was very captivated by the film. So yeah, that would be one that I felt really good about. Um, there's some shorts that feel like the right length. It's interesting because I think even short films are too long, many of them. But there's a couple of the shortlisted films are really short and they're beautiful little films. So yeah, wish them all luck.
Wonderful. Well, it's always a pleasure to speak with you, Jay. And while I'd be happy to see that narrative or narrative feature film finally come out, I'm happy to continue checking in with you about your short documentaries as often as you produce anything. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, Abe. Good talking to you again.